Welcome to the Succeeding Over All Roadblocks Lifecast, a show about self-discovery and vibrating higher in every area of your life. Each week, I'll have conversations with some of my favorite people who are soaring over life's challenges. They'll share their struggles, but more importantly, the lessons they've learned along the way. I'm your host, Keisha Whitaker, entrepreneur and transformational speaker. Let's get ready to soar. Hey everyone, Keisha here. I'm so glad you're tuning in. In this episode of the Succeeding Over All Roadblocks Lifecast, aka the SOAR Lifecast, I'm reflecting on some of the events of this year that have deeply impacted me, what I've learned from them, and how to use them to soar. Every era has gone through some unprecedented times, and now it's just our time. I'll be honest, 2020 had me pinned down to the proverbial mat, and I imagine it's been the same for some of you. After one of the most challenging experiences of my life, I thought I was ready for anything 2020 could throw at me. I was a caregiver for my dad, who passed away from colon cancer just before New Year's. Shortly after his passing, I found myself reeling from the loss of Kobe Bryant. Then COVID-19 hit, and I spent months alone in quarantine and missing people. Then the news of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and so many more brothers and sisters who were lost to racism and police brutality. Then Chadwick Boseman's passing. Then I lost Imani, my pit bull who had been with me for 13 years, to cancer. I wasn't prepared, nor did I feel equipped to handle any of that. It felt like someone kept body slamming me to the mat over and over. Emotionally, mentally, and physically, I was just traumatized and drained. Each of these losses felt deeply personal to me, all for different reasons. Of course, losing my dad and dog 8 months apart was totally devastating. And I took Kobe and Chadwick really hard because we're all pretty much the same age, and I felt a connection to them, even though I didn't know them personally. Those lost at the hands of police brutality left me feeling powerless and asking myself the question, could I be next? Simply because of the color of my skin. While I was down on the mat, I took the time to catch my breath. Quarantine life has given me a chance to think about how I need to start showing up in the world. So I'm getting up off the mat and I'm using the lessons they all left behind. And believe me, there were so many. I could go on and on about what I learned about myself in certain situations and what I took away from their lives and their deaths. But I'll share just one from each. My dad, Jeff, was the kind of person who could fix anything. I mean, anything. He could rebuild a car, put a roof on a house, lay tile, you name it. He was super intelligent, funny, and always worked with excellence. When we would tackle a problem together, he always told me to make sure I did it well. No half-stepping. When I look around my home, I see so many projects we worked on together. He was the brains, and I was the brawn. I learned how to fix my car, the dryer, hot water tank, and even do some very basic electrical stuff. I always wanted him by my side when I had to fix something, so he could make sure I did it right. Now that he's gone, the first question I ask myself is, how would my dad fix this? What would he tell me to do? I truly believe he was preparing me for life after he passed by equipping me with the skills I needed. From him, I learned the importance of taking the time and paying it forward by passing on my skills and knowledge. Kobe was simply otherworldly. From high school and beyond, I felt I grew up with him every step of the way. His pursuit of greatness translated to every single thing he did, from being one of the best basketball players who ever lived to being the best girl dad of all time. His talent, competitive edge, and drive all created the Mamba mentality. From him, I learned to go all out in everything I do, and that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Because of the pandemic, the world stopped and finally paid attention to the treatment of African Americans living under systemic racism. So many have unnecessarily lost their lives to police brutality, and this has to end. The protests that are happening across this nation are the cries of the unheard and are needed. But we also need more coordination and a strategic plan of action to move the needle. Though wrongfully taken from us, their lives have sparked change and motivation for me and many others to become more united and civically engaged. I've learned that it's time to get into good trouble. How can a person connect so genuinely with you through a TV screen? That was my first thought when I saw Chadwick Boseman surprise Black Panther fans on Jimmy Fallon. His work was simply magnificent, and I applauded the way he raised the standard of how Black people should be depicted on screen. We were all shocked to find out he accomplished most of it while battling cancer. But what touched me most was how he treated people with love and compassion in his daily life. Everyone has their own struggles. We never know what someone is going through. And just because you don't have the same struggle doesn't mean you should pass judgment. I learned from him that we can't truly grow without struggle and pain, and we must persevere because that is where greatness is born. These are just some of the lessons I've learned so far. But what I really want to know is, what were those moments that challenged you in 2020? How did you soar above it? What did you learn about yourself during the process? Share it with me on social media or by email, and we'll soar together. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Succeeding Over All Roadblocks Lifecast. Follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Soar Lifecast for more tips and motivation. You can also email questions to soarlifecast@gmail.com. Be sure to catch new episodes every week and leave a review of the show. Until then, keep soaring.